It's an absolutely glorious morning here. We've got blue skies and fluffy clouds, and the rain has finally stopped. It's the 6th of January and I'm itching to get going in the garden, and I'm going to use this opportunity to get stuff done outside. But just while we're in the shed, I've got a few little bits and pieces. So yesterday afternoon, because it was raining, I came across and I got all my seeds, took them over to the house, and I sat and had a really good seed sort out. And historically, I've always had little tubs, and in the tubs I've categorised my seeds, so you know, tomatoes, brassicas, beans, so on. But then I have to keep going through them all, and then what I usually do is have this tin with the things I'm about to sow. But this year I decided I was going to try and do things a little bit differently. So what I've done is this year I am putting my seeds into boxes according to the month where I'd like to sow them. So I've got this Tupperware with January, and then obviously I've labelled up the other tins. I've also got plenty in here as well, which are things for January. And then once I've sown in January, they'll go back into tubs because I'm not going to sow them all, and then I'll get the February ones out, and then the ones that are imminent I always put in this tin. So slightly different system this year. And although we can start sowing things in January, because I don't use artificial heat or light, everything is started off in the polytunnel. I do use, they're just next to me here, the little propagators. Let me just see if I can get one to show you. So these bases with one of these lids, and that's all I do. So they started off in the polytunnel underneath the propagators. I've got eight I think, yes, of those, and you can either fit seed trays or pots or whatever into them in the polytunnel. And then if I know there's going to be a real cold snap or we've got frosts, I will sometimes cover those overnight with towels or cardboard just to trap a bit more heat in. But that's all I do. So there's absolutely no point in me starting things too soon. So I'm going to hang fire and wait till sort of mid to end of January to start my seed sowing. But what I want to focus on while the sun is out, and it's although it's really cold, I had to break ice on the water troughs this morning for the animals. It's not raining. It's very, very soggy. But yeah, I really want to get out there. And the other thing I've got, so I will be mulching beds. I haven't been and done my compost run, but at least I can get them weeded out, probably get some cardboard down. Just going to concentrate on weeding and clearing today, and then another day I'll get some cardboard down and water it, and then just to, you know, keep it sticking down so it doesn't blow. And then once I get my compost, I can throw that on top. But what I have got this year, thank you very much to Steve. So if you haven't seen Steve's channel, Digwell Green Fingers, he's sent me some of this super soil, and a little bit goes an awfully long way. So it'll be really interesting to see how things fare with that. So it's a blend of, I'm not sure what it's a blend of, microorganisms and really good stuff for the soil. So I thought I would, part of me was thinking about doing an experiment, but in all honesty, I've got enough on my plate just getting back on top of this plot, because as I have mentioned, tail end of last year, because of work and health, it got a little bit away from me. So it would be really interesting to be able to do, you know, one bed on one side of the plot and another bed on the other, maybe grow similar things and see. But do you know what? I'm just really grateful to have it. So that will be going in as well once the beds are prepped. I'm not sure, you know, sort of how long it lasts for, but common sense tells me that there's no point watering it in now when the beds aren't ready. I'm essentially going to be boosting the weeds. So once it's all prepped and ready to roll, the super soil will get watered in, and then I'll be ready to go. And the other place it would be really useful for is inside the polytunnel. I do top those beds up, but obviously the compost's in there. It's not the same as the soil outside, so that will give it a real boost. So that's great. So I'm really looking forward to using that, and thank you so much, Steve, for sending that to me. So it's getting chilly. I need to get moving. So I need to get my gloves on. I need to get my knee pads on, and let's get out and start weeding and tidying and clearing and getting ready for spring. So I've already done some clearing, and then also in this wheelbarrow I've got the foliage that I'd foraged from round the farm and had to decorate the house for Yuletide, and I'd thrown that in there as well. So before I do anything, I just need to empty this wheelbarrow. And then I'm just going to park the wheelbarrow up, and I'll use my trug, and every time it's full I can tip it in. It's actually colder than I'd anticipated, and I've got a really good bit done, but just having my hands in that cold soil that's still got a little bit of frost on top, it's really chilly. So I've decided to have a coffee break just to warm up a little bit, and then what I think I'm going to do, instead of doing too much just to mind with my back and my freezing cold hands, I think I'm going to have a go at taking this structure down next. So I've made good headway on this bed, but I fancy a change, so I'm going to start dismantling this structure, and then I'll see how the day pans out. I would like to get this bed finished, but that's a good amount. Let's get this structure down, and then we'll see what the weather's doing and how I'm feeling. But I'm going to finish my cup of coffee first, and then we'll tackle that structure. that's another job ticked off the list, and I will be breaking this down, and we'll either dry it out and use it for kindling, or it'll go into the compost, and so nothing will get wasted. But this wood, or these sticks, branches, I cut from the hazel in the hedge further down the paddock. Oh goodness, 3 seasons, maybe, yeah, probably about 3 seasons ago. And I built, originally with a lot more of it, a squash frame to grow my squash up, and then I took that down and then I used bits of it to build the little archway there, which I enjoyed last summer with the nasturtium and the little baby pumpkin. So I'm really happy with what I've got done this morning. It's really quite chilly, but it's gorgeous to be out and for it not to be raining. So it's lunchtime. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go and have some lunch, do some journaling. I've got a gratitude journal that it's just a couple of lines each day, which I'm going to try and complete over this year, and I think that will really help me. Just a few moments while you're having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever it is you're doing. You can even think about it while you're cleaning your teeth and then just write it down. Just a few lines of gratitude each day. So yesterday I had a lovely day. I went on a little bit of a shopping spree. I had a whole day to myself. So I got up nice and early, got all the beasties sorted, and I had a specific mission for some things. So I wanted to go to the charity shops because I haven't done that for ages, and I had a few things in mind that I wanted. And I wanted to go to a garden centre, and I also wanted to go to our local antiques emporium. I didn't film any of it, but if anybody's interested in the Antiques Emporium or charity shopping, do let me know and I can always film next time I go. But I just wanted a day of just going and being in the moment. So I had my phone switched off, no having to think about anything other than what I was doing, and it was a lovely day. I treated myself to some lunch, so I just bought a salmon and broccoli bake, and I had a little cup of coffee, and I sat out. So I was in Wrexham, which is a town fairly close to us. I've got kind of Whitchurch in one direction and Wrexham in the other, but I went to Wrexham, and I like to go and sit in the churchyard, St Giles's churchyard. It's beautiful, and there's some benches and you can just tuck yourself away, and there's always grass. There's usually some squirrels to watch. I think I may have filmed there in the past. So yeah, I had a little bit of lunch, and yeah, I had a really nice day. So without further ado, I will show you in no particular order what I bought. So I got things that were on my list. I did go a little bit off piste with a few things, but it was just a lovely day to treat myself. So what I had in mind in the charity shops, I specifically wanted some long dresses, and I also needed some gloves. And then what I wanted to do was get some so there's one here of these spring bulbs, and these are little tete-a-tete daffodils, and I'll talk to you more about those. But I had a particular thing in mind, so I wanted some spring bulbs that were already springing, and some pots, pretty containers, so I can have them in the house. So let's start with that, even though the order was different. So I did charity shops first, then I did went and got the plants, and then I went to the Antiques Emporium. But we'll do the plants first. So I've got these little tete-a-tete daffodils, as I say. Now, I actually went to B&Q because I'd done a garden centre the day before with my swim buddy Jules. We went to a local independent garden centre. I did get some compost and some vermiculite, but they didn't have any of these sprouting bulbs. Well, they'd had some, but they were all sold out. So these are the little daffodils. So just got one pot of those, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 sprouting in there, so they'll split up really nicely. And then I got some of these grape hyacinths. So they're in 2, 4, 6 kind of cells, but there's 3 or 4 or 2 depending in each one. So again, they'll split up really, really nicely. So yeah, they're the lovely little grape hyacinths. And they're really dinky, aren't they? Let's put those down so they're not in your way. And then I got some actual hyacinths, the big ones, and these are white, and I've got 6 of those. So 6 white hyacinths, the lovely purple grape hyacinths, and then the little tete-a-tete yellow daffodils. So those 3 colours together, I always find super cheerful. I did actually treat myself this week as well. I've got some, I think you can probably just see them there, tulips. I bought 1 bunch and I've split it, so there's some in here and there's some in the snug, and I've split them up. So there's yellow and white in here, and then there's some purple and red next door in the snug. And I just think at this time of the year, if you've had decorations up, however you celebrate either Christmas or Yuletide, when you take the decorations down, we've still got a long way, haven't we, to go until spring and sort of more sunshine. So I just think it's really nice to add a little bit of cheer into the cottage. So I then went looking for little pots. Now I did see the most gorgeous, perfect, would have been beautiful as a centerpiece here in the table, but it was, well, I mean, some of these are antique as well, but it was £28 for the one. So it was like, do I do one big or do I do lots of little? So I decided to go for lots of little ones. So I got this absolutely adorable little, it's a Silvac vase actually, so probably about 1960. I do like the Silvac stuff, and they, in that era, they used to put paper stickers on and they often fall off. So I got that, I think it was £5, and that'll just be lovely. And then I found this beautiful teapot. Now, it had no lid, but of course that didn't matter to me. So again, it was super cheap. It just says made in England, but it's clearly got elements, I think some transfer, but then some hand painting on that, and you can feel the texture. So it's actually completely undamaged. There's the little lips there, but that's where the teapot lid would have sat. And you can see, I don't know if you can see inside, it is actually a teapot, but it's got pretty flowers on one side, and then this gorgeous cottage scene on the other side. But how beautiful is that going to look with some spring flowers? And then it's got this lovely green detailing all around. I just fell in love with it. So it didn't matter, it didn't have a lid, because it's going to have a new purpose. And then let me just move, I'll pop you in there for a moment. You're probably noticing these cylinders or balls. I will talk to you about those in a minute. And then I got this lovely little, I can't remember, it's a Wedgwood, made by Wedgwood, little bowl, and it's just got some little green flowers on it, so it's kind of the same, slightly bigger, and then little flowers and little detailing around the top. So that'll just sit maybe a couple of grape hyacinths in that. And then let me put that carefully back in there, that's smashing it to smithereens. I got this really lovely traditional brass planter, and I just thought that was really sweet. So again, that'll look absolutely lovely. So mission accomplished, but of course I'm always looking out for bargains and things that I like. So the other thing that I got, so in our kitchen we have a similar sign. They're not antique, they're just vintage style, but I really like these metal signs. So we've got one in the kitchen already that's a coffee one, and we have it hung up above where we keep our coffee, apart from the coffee that's in the fridge, so above the instant coffee. And then I saw this, which is a fresh eggs one, and I've got a perfect little space above where we store the chickens' eggs when we've collected them. I just thought that was really cute, so I couldn't resist that. And then while I was going around, I saw these. Now again, they're not original, they're kind of reproduction, but these gorgeous little orbs, balls, whatever you want to call them. I mean, they're just gorgeous, they're decorative, they serve no purpose other than they're pretty. So I got 4 of the small ones, and they're kind of in browns and blues. And then I got 1 medium-sized one and the larger one. And aren't they just lovely? So they are ceramic. I think this big one was £5. The little one, tiny ones, were £2 each, and the medium-sized one was £3. And I've seen them a lot more expensive than that. So they came home with me. I just fell in love with them. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm also showing you this. So this was ordered online. It is simply a replacement. So you may have noticed, those of you that have followed me for a while, that I haven't been mentioning temperatures when I've been out in the garden or the polytunnel. And that's because the thermometer that I had, it's broken. I've had it 4 or 5 years, and it's a little frustrating, but unfortunately things aren't made to last anymore, are they? So it's just a replacement, an exact replacement. So it has, it goes inside the polytunnel, and then there's a long wire with a probe that goes outside, and I dangle it in the air, and that gives me the inside of the polytunnel and the external temperatures. It's just a direct replacement, and I bought that online. So let's pop that back in its little box. So I'll be putting that back up, and then of course I'll know what the temperatures have been doing, because again, I've shown you in the past, it's one of my little rituals in the morning. I like to go out and see what the temperature was overnight and what the current temperature is. I think as gardeners we can get a bit obsessive, and also just you know, swimming and outdoorsy things. I kind of like to know. It doesn't predict, obviously, I can look ahead, but it's nice to know what's going on, isn't it? So then I went around the charity shops, and I did pop into a few ordinary shops as well. So I did pass a bookshop, and although I've got a lot of books, and actually I might do that in one of my next videos. I've got quite a nice pile of to be read books, and also books I've been reading, so I'll talk about those in another video. But I saw this, so again, those of you that follow me will know I love cooking in the slow cooker, especially lots of our lovely harvested veg, so either fresh when we're freshly harvesting them, or those that are in the freezer. So I got this book because it was in the window and it called to me. So it's a really nice slow cooker meals book, and it's got some lovely recipes in it. So there's a chorizo carbonara, let's have a little look. There's curries, there's all sorts in here. Tikka masala cod, spicy tomato, tortellini and chili soup. So lots of lovely recipes, and a lot of them are kind of make from scratch. So some of them might have pasta or noodles or rice, but all the other things are kind of cooked from scratch. There's butter chicken here, and it is, you know, cooked from scratch, which I love, but then it is a case of just throwing it in the slow cooker. So I saw it in the window, it was half price, and I thought, you know, I'm going to go in and get that. And as I was walking to the till, I passed the latest Kate Humble book, which is Where the Hearth Is, Stories of Home. And I've already had an idea, because I've got a Kate Humble book, which I will show you. I got it in the second-hand National Trust shop when I went with my sister. So we went twice. We went to 2 different National Trust properties in the run-up to Christmas time, and we had 2 absolutely lovely days. You know, it was all decorated and beautiful, but we went in the second hand. If you're National Trust people, you'll know that a lot of the properties have a second-hand bookshop, and I did come home with some bargains which I haven't shown you yet, and one of them was one of Kate Humble's books. So this one called to me, and this was also half price, so I got the 2 books half price, so I couldn't leave them there. And then in no particular order, I got, there's 2 of these, 2 pairs of just ordinary woolly gloves, because I live in these through the winter months, and I usually put holes in the fingers because I leave them on all the time to, you know, do the horses and the chickens and everything around the farm, and some gardening. Sometimes I'll wear them underneath gardening gloves just to keep my hands warmer, and yeah, I just wear them out. So all the ones I've got are full of holes. So I've got a grey pair, and somewhere in this bag, it'll come up at some point, are another pair of green ones. And then I found these lovely, in fantastic condition, they're just a pair of walking trousers, because I do like to get out and do some walking, and they're crag hoppers, and they're an absolute bargain. So these were only £3.99, in one of the charity shops. It's not clear which one it was. Oh, Salvation Army, there we are. Yeah, so £3.99, and they're like new. So a lovely pair of quick drying, lightweight, crushable walking trousers. Let's pop them on this chair. I also got, oh, here are the other gloves. So they're just like a sagey green colour. They're just cheap and cheerful woolly gloves. I got this really lovely, let's move a few things. Is that in your way? No. It's cotton, and it's like a smocky, toppy dress. And it's really, really lovely. Now, I think this would look great over jeans, or in the summer just as it is, or over leggings. I got it for, it was £6.99, but it hasn't got tags, but it's like brand new. And it's linen-y cotton. And it's got short sleeves, it's got pockets. I mean, who doesn't love pockets in a dress or a smock? And it's got these lovely wooden buttons. And I just really liked that. So for £6.99, I think that'll be lovely. And it's in these lovely blue and purpley colours. And I wanted a couple of long dresses. So I found this one, which is more of a summer dress. I'm going to stand up, but I could kind of layer it up. And this one, if I can find the top, so it's brand new with tags from Nutmeg, and it's got this little tie detailing at the neck, and then it's one of these kind of what I call gypsy layery, can you see that, long dresses, and it's got this lovely floral pattern. It's got a little tie at the back, it's got kind of mid sleeves, and it'll be great to layer up in the winter or to wear in the spring through to summer as well. And I got that, should have been originally £18. They had it marked up for £8 and then slashed down to £4, so £4, brand new with tags, very pretty floral dress. What else have we got in here? Oh, I got a pair of, these are just like tracky bottoms. Again, I don't actually know the brand, Studio. So they're just fleecy lined tracksuit bottom type trousers with this nice red stripe, make them a bit different, and some cuffs at the hem, and they'd be great to throw on after a wild swim or just for scratting about gardening or on the farm. And they were £2.99, and they're in really good condition. And then my absolute favourite is this corduroy. So it's originally from, is it TU or 2? I never know how you pronounce it, which I know is Sainsbury's. It is brand new, still got the tags on it. Originally £28, and I got that in Nightingale's Hospice, and that was £12. But it's this lovely long corduroy. It's got buttons to about here, and it's got a lovely button details on the cuff. It's long sleeved, and this is going to be lovely through the winter months with, you know, chunky boots and a big cardigan. So I really like it. It's kind of a grandad type collar, and it's got a little belt on it as well. And I don't know if the colour is coming out. I'm going to bring it in closer, but it's this lovely olivey green. So I'm absolutely thrilled with that one. That was my favourite of all the charity shop buys. And then the other thing I got, which may seem a bit odd, are these booties. So they're made out of like a canvas, and they are fleecy lined, and I bought them. They're actually a size 7 and I'm a size 6, but I thought they'd be perfect to put on my cold feet when I come out of an open water swim, because I do struggle with my back, and sometimes I struggle to get socks on. So I always just put my feet without socks, and we sit with a hot water bottle first. But I thought these would be great to just plunge my feet into that lovely soft lining. So I'm going to keep those for my post-swim foot warming. So those are my lovely bargains. I had a really lovely day. Isn't it nice sometimes to just spoil yourself and spend the whole day out just pootling along and looking at things and picking things up and putting them down, buying things that I specifically had on my list, and then a few extras as well. So I really enjoyed my day. And then I'm just going to show you some footage because I've filmed it, and now seems an appropriate time as any. I don't know what it's been like for the rest of you, so I'm really hoping anybody living anywhere, but I know in the UK we've had some awful flooding and it's finally starting to subside. We actually failed to get somewhere the other day. We were supposed to be going to visit one of my nieces. You'll have seen I put some pictures sometimes and talk about her, because we will meet in the middle and go for a nice walk. But we were actually going to their house for a visit in the afternoon. Chris had been working in the morning. It was all pre-planned. We were taking Kaylee with us and just going for a visit. So we set off and we were trying to get to Abergavenny. And the floods were just horrific. The rain was just bouncing down, and it had rained for weeks and weeks, but in this particular spell, days and days and days. And canals and rivers had burst their banks, and everywhere was saturated. And then to top it all, fields that kind of up higher than roads had actually burst. You know, the banks had burst, and there was just this muddy water runoff, and the roads had turned into rivers. And there were police out, and there were breakdown trucks everywhere, and cars abandoned. And we quickly realised we'd driven for an hour, and it's about a 2-ish hour, 2.5, depending, drive to get there. And after an hour, we realised that we were being a bit silly and we should turn around and come back. We were actually in my little car rather than the truck. So we had to ring my niece and say, look, I'm really sorry. We're just not going to make it. So we've rescheduled, and we had to turn around and come back. So yeah, the road conditions were just terrible. And then all around the local areas, so the River Dee is one of our local rivers, and all around Bangor-on-Dee, all the fields have been flooded, the roads have been closed, and it kind of looks spooky and a bit beautiful, but the reality is, you know, livestock have had to be moved off to those fields, and roads are closed, and it's been really quite difficult. And we're very lucky because we're up a bit of a hill, but I know that a lot of people's homes have been flooded. So I really hope that that's not the case with yourselves, and that you're all safe and dry. So the rain has eased off now, and we've actually got a bit of a cold snap. We've been starting our mornings with heavy frosts and breaking ice on water troughs. So I am going to end this video here, but I will show you, I'm probably going to do it tomorrow now because I've got a few more bits and pieces to do, but when I pot these up, because I'm going to do that, I really need to either do it this evening or tomorrow, so it's likely to be tomorrow. I will show you what I'm doing, and hopefully they'll look really pretty. And I also have, if I just reach across, which I mentioned way back when I'd done a little shop. I think it was after one of my hospital appointments. I went to cheer myself up, and I think I had some specific things in mind, but this just called to me, and it was one of those little kits, grow your own. So it had the kind of coir discs that you soak to make the soil, and 3 bulbs, and this adorable little plastic lined planter. And they've come up really well, so you can see they're going to look pretty. They're on the dresser at the moment, and then the others I can dot around, and I'll show them to you as they start to flower.